Hello, I'm Kim Crosbie, and thank you for being able to do this where we get to share and connect with each other with these really unfortunate circumstances. And that's part of my presentation today is the reality we are in, and right now it's a pandemic. But this pandemic makes you wonder, you know, how we create our reality is based on our beliefs. And I wanted to use the pandemic as an example that explains or helps us better understand how our beliefs are affecting us in this moment. Now, I'm in Europe, and now everyone is on lockdown. And it's funny because we all have seen this through the news. I go to the supermarket, and there's no toilet paper. It's all gone. But you witness it and you really feel it because you're experiencing it in the supermarket. And I turn around, the pasta's all gone. And all the chips are gone. And then I thought, my God. But the toilet paper one really got to me because I thought, is that a priority in this time of pandemic? What are they thinking about? And this is what my presentation is about, your beliefs. What are they believing in that moment that makes them behave this way? Because if we don't understand how we react to the pandemic, then we don't know our fears, because obviously we have a lot of fears, and this is a global fear apparently, because many countries had the same effect where there was no toilet paper and people were fighting and they had to call in the police. So you wonder, what are we fearing? Because obviously it's a major fear, it's a global fear. So therefore, what's the belief behind it? And I was just curious, and that's what I wanted to share with you, is how do you go about figuring out a global belief? And this is a big one, and we're all confronted. And I think this is what also brings us together. What we've done today, all of us in this room, we've come together. We've created a different manifestation. We didn't get stuck into fear. Oh, we can't reach each other. The organization, the Tomorrow people, got us together. So obviously we changed where we don't fear. We're somewhere with optimism and wanting to share and connect and network with each other. So obviously we manifested something great. But when you look at the other side of certain negativity, you have to start understanding what is wrong with them. All of us in this room believe in what we do. That's why we're here to share something that we're passionate about, that we really want each other to understand. Beliefs. We want to share them. And that's good, because that's when you debate them, you come to a consentment together on what fits the best. But if you don't question what's going on in the real world, such as losing your dignity, you're so afraid that you're not going to have toilet paper because you don't want to wipe your bum. I thought you could use water. But obviously this triggered a global belief. And that was my question, because this is my part one presentation, where I wanted to use the pandemic to come to explain more how beliefs create reality. The reality we're in. And right now we're in such a confrontation where we have to stay in. You have to keep your distance. You have to wash your hands. Some people are really afraid. They're taking all kinds of vitamins to fear that they're going to get this virus. And we hear it on the sensation on the news, and it becomes a mass hysteria almost, like, oh my God, what could happen? And then we go get the toilet paper or hog the water or the chips. So we have to understand what we're seeing that way so that we can share, if this were happen to again, that we choose a different set of beliefs or thoughts. If we thought that we're all in this together, we'd share. I'll give my neighbor what he doesn't have. If I have too much, I share. So it's a choice, and that's what people don't get. But we have to look at what are they not getting to transmit that information. So it comes back again to beliefs. So I'd like to give you an example, the toilet paper one, because that's the one obviously that really stuck out for me, how people could react to that. And I started thinking about, well, why are they hoarding? Is it because they don't have enough? Or they're afraid that they're not going to be up to standard to survival, so they fear death maybe? Or is it they're so afraid to share, they'll make them feel vulnerable? I don't know. There's so many beliefs here that you could, I wonder, what is it really? But it's obviously close to something where I don't have enough of something. Now what? It could be specific to each individual, but the real deep feeling is I don't have enough. So they feel so afraid of that emotion they're feeling, and this is the problem, is that most people don't want to feel their emotions. If they did, and they knew they were feeling that there's not enough, or I'm not enough, well, they can look at it and reflect on it, but we don't do that. So they do a behavior right away to compensate on what they're really feeling. So if I feel I'm not enough, I'm going to go get 10 rolls of those, toilet paper, and I'm going to hoard it. And that makes me feel I'm good, I'm protected, I have enough here more than anybody. So I'm soothing myself. But then you get the social media that comes in, and then you get that mass fear of what's going on, how many deaths, and which is normal, obviously. But the person who doesn't feel they have enough, that makes them think, oh my God, it's getting worse. So I'm going to go back and get more to fulfill this feeling. Oh, okay, now probably I have enough. And then it's this vicious cycle that you get into. And then you get really anxious, and you start feeling you may get it. So how are you going to protect yourself more? And it's just an escalated of thoughts that come after, but deep down what it came to, that's your core belief. I'm not enough. I don't have enough. So you probably have other thoughts. I'm better than him, or I'm not enough, or you're afraid to be vulnerable. It's always coming down to the deeper belief. So if we have a global belief that we're not enough, because so many countries did this, you have to start thinking, if we feel we're not enough, what else are we thinking all the time in the background? And our behaviors we're creating that we're never enough. So we excavate the earth to nonstop. We take to the point that we want to sell and have transport. So we're creating so much global warming. And now we debate about it. But obviously the world is reacting. Shouldn't it? Are we supposed to be upset that it reacts because we're taking because we always feel we're not enough? So this is a deeper belief that we all individually feel it, behave in our own individual way. But at the end, it's also a global belief because many countries did the same thing. So that means it's one big belief we're not enough. So if we realize this, then what can we do with that? Then we can change the thought about it. It's not true. We made it happen to communicate, even though this was happening, to connect. So what can we do through social media? Instead of putting fear, put reason out. Yes, follow what the scientists are saying. But you can also share things together, like in Italy when they sang on the balconies. I thought that was brilliant because they were connecting. Even though this is terrible, it created a great positive movement. We're connected. So if we put that out more, that we're one into this, we're going to connect together. We're going to stand by each other. Imagine that feeling instead of, I'm not feeling enough. Because now I get to connect with all of you. I get to have fun with all of you. And I get to feel that there's hope. And we can get out of this. And so my thoughts are positive. I'm not thinking of I'm going to die, I don't have enough, and all the other negative thoughts that you're going back to. So my presentation basically has to do with that core belief. Now when I started this work, it's only because I had so much pain where there's nowhere to go anymore, where then you have to start looking at it and start understanding the way that we think. It creates patterns. And this is what most people don't understand. Is that we think in patterns, and the brain loves to look at patterns. I don't understand how come we never got that. And the way that the patterns work in your brain, it's really interesting. It's like stories. You can have past lives, symbolisms, memories from your current life, and so on and so forth, that explain where did you start feeling that you weren't enough to your own individual way, because it creates a behavior. So, but you have to start looking into recognizing that you have I'm not enough. And that's the trick. How do you do that? That will be in my next presentation that I want to show you more in detail. But I wanted to put some questions out so you understand how beliefs work. And now we're really in one that's triggering us globally. You cannot not escape the news or talking with your neighbor, your family about it, because we're all in lockdown. We're all stuck in our homes and hoarding toilet paper or pasta or chips. But I think if we start discussing this together, then we can create a different outcome because we did it today. So imagine what we can, hopefully through the YouTube video that tomorrow people can probably can create, that we can start spreading this in the world, that we're all here to share something to make something better and to think that we can believe more positive about ourselves. But you can't dismiss where you have to look at something. And I think the world loves to distract ourselves. Social media, yes, you need the facts, but it creates an emotion behind it that no one's noticing. And that's really important to pay attention. It depends on the news outlets. And yeah, if you hear deaths or, people's businesses are going down, this is horrible. So it really creates fear. And that's really difficult to cope with. And that's where, again, you have to start addressing what do you feel about yourself, your beliefs. And that's challenging. And right now, we don't have a choice because the pandemic is crashing at us every day on the news. And also the whole lockdown, our behaviors at home are different. Our children aren't going to school, so we can't go to work. So it's difficult. So it's all about trying to figure out, when the next time we see each other, basically our beliefs. Just that you start thinking, how do we change that? How do we get to that? What can I do to make it different so that our global world does not feel it's not enough? Because when it doesn't, it'll be careful with its resources, therefore it'll be careful with its earth. It'll be careful to the air that we breathe because we care for each other. So it would change the whole dynamic if we got this. That'll be the second part. I hope to see you soon.